Welcome, everyone, to Talent Experience Live, the show that typically comes to you live every Thursday at noon Eastern Time. We had a few technical difficulties today, but it's okay. We still have a fantastic jam-packed episode for you. Of course, if you're familiar with the program, you know that Talent Experience Live is obviously the most important show in HR, but it's also brought to you by the good folks here at Phenom, whose purpose is to help 1 billion people find the right work. How do we do that? Through our intelligent talent experience platform, which helps candidates find the right roles faster, recruiters achieve next level productivity, employees evolve in their current roles and beyond, and managers get better data and insights through things like automation and, of course, artificial intelligence, which the entire platform is powered by. So if you're interested in any of that or more, number one, stay tuned into this episode or head on over to phenom.com to request a demo button. As of course, I alluded to a little bit earlier, today we are talking all around generative AI. It has been the hottest topic, not just in this industry, but in, quite frankly, all industries related to technology and some that aren't related to technology. But it has vast impacts on human resources as a whole. As we know, human resources, data is everything. Maintaining secure tech stacks and everything in between really is the foundation of human resources when it comes to technology. And we're going to talk about where some of the free tools for GenAI may fall short and where Phenom X Plus most certainly does not. So without any further hesitation, I'm going to bring on our expert on generative AI and Phenom X Plus, our VP of Product, Kumar. Kumar, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining me today. Apologize about the technical issues that we had there. But nonetheless, we have a great episode, right?
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. I don't want to waste time with chit-chat and banter. I want to jump right into it with you. Generative AI, hot topic across the industry.
Absolutely.
How is it transforming HR processes as it stands today when it comes to candidates and employees for sourcing and engagement?
Yeah, I think it has definitely a very major impact, right? So if you think about HR processes, think about the entire candidate lifecycle, right from hello to hire to retire, there's always digital footprint that has always been created in various different systems, right? It could be candidates interacting, your recruiters interacting with candidates, your managers having feedback, or employees joining the company and then further growing into it. But fundamentally, the data has always been unstructured in the HR land. With generative AI, now we have the opportunity to not just integrate the systems, but also use generative AI to make sense out of truly unstructured data.
Yeah.
So from a generative AI perspective, there are two broad pillars, right? So one is data generation. So you can help optimize your HR processes, minimize admin tasks, and do a lot of things from that perspective. And the second aspect, which is often a lot more complex, is data summarization, right? So that's where we have a tremendous potential to really impact HR processes for the good.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Now, another thing that is constantly brought up when we talk about AI, I know it was a conversation when the chatbots were first implemented, was specifically natural language processing and natural language understanding. Now, the question that I have with regards to that is obviously processing is going to dissect the resume, understand colloquial terms or job titles that account executive may be the same thing as sales executive or something along those lines. When it comes to generating content, how does this play a role? Is there a way that you can essentially have the system understand that at our organization, we are leveraging the terminology of account executive, right? And what role does that play into not just in potential job descriptions, but also assessing resumes themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. So natural language processing, NLP, NLU, has been central to AI and machine learning models, right? So we've always used this in the traditional sense of understanding not just keywords in a job description, but their semantic relationships. So now we understand what is experience in correlation to skill on a resume. NLP has been used to understand sentiments of feedback, and even use it in so many aspects of conversational AI that we've always seen. But with all of this being really the first phase of NLP with generative AI, we can transform some of these insights into generation of new content in new areas with the right context, so to speak. That makes the whole equation very powerful and exciting.
Yeah, no, it certainly does. I mean, you think back to your traditional kind of chatbot interactions, and for a lot of them, you only have bucketed responses where it's yes or no, correct or incorrect, like which product would you like. When you add this generative piece, you can have a conversation back and forth. And I imagine, back to your point around data, right? Data or data?
Either way is
All right. Data, it continues to get more and more enhanced. It continues to educate itself based on interactions in the past, which is exciting. With that being said, the conversation around bias is huge in artificial intelligence. And I think back to when we first introduced, fit scoring and things like that. We talked a lot about bias and how we were actively working against it, right? Where you didn't want a particular, a person of a particular ethnic background from a particular school in a particular neighborhood, whatever that may be, and there were guardrails to prevent that from happening. When we talk about generative AI, and I think specifically around job descriptions and around how things are worded, we all know that certain things can be worded from a masculine perspective, other things can be worded from a feminine perspective. How does this play a role in generative AI today? And not only how is it hurting, but maybe how is it helping in some way, shape, or form from a bias perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So I think fundamentally, everybody in HR has tried to handle this problem. Are job descriptions written in the right format? Are they gender neutral? Could there be potential adverse impact? And there's been a lot of development happening in that space for a few years now around how to write better job descriptions, how to detect and correct them, and things like that. But now with generative AI, we have the ability to really take some of those learnings and applications of those learnings and transfer those learnings and models into newer areas. So we've always done, for example, fit score, right? Where we say that a candidate is great for a specific job and they have a letter grade. But think about explainability, right? So explainability becomes a little bit tough to understand, especially when you're running all these computations through a deep neural network. Generative AI can help there, where you can actually bring about explainability to your AI. Think about really structuring your interview questions based on specific guardrails of data that you've already created. So if you're just looking at, let's say, evaluating candidates based on skills and experience and the relevant competencies, previously you didn't have a framework to build a structured interview guide around just those. It was just every interviewer, team member, hiring manager asking questions that they liked. This allows us to really take some of those foundational aspects of a fit and transfer it to other aspects of the hiring process using generative AI.
I love that, because it certainly does. It takes into account the important part, right? We talk about skills here regularly, and it sounds like, I know from my experience as a recruiter, you scan through scan through the resume databases and everything like that. You put in the title that you're looking for, and that doesn't answer the question, right? If you are hiring for, I'll use the account executive example before, you don't know the industry, you don't know what type of account executive they were. They could have been door-to-door salespeople, right? Like the good folks at True Green who are selling landscapes. It could be someone who is selling tech sales. And then you dive into the skills conversation around that, and that's going to remove the human element of it, of just recognizing job title and matching that. And now it's going to layer in, all right, this person may have worked in customer success, but they have a lot of the skills that would be good for this role. Maybe we should talk to it about them, especially when it comes to employee development, right? And employee engagement from that perspective.
Absolutely.
Now, the other question that I want to ask you around that, we're talking about data sets, right? Historical data. When we're leveraging generative AI, specifically some of the free tools that are out on the internet to maybe write a job description or assess something, you're using the entire internet, which it's a scary place. It's not. There's a lot of stuff that you may not want to leverage there. What significance does historical data play when it comes to generative AI in human resources?
Sure. So it really depends on what context and what use case you're developing generative AI for, and what's the importance of historical data, right? So obviously, historical data has impact on traditional AI systems where it's maybe you have biases in potentially are hiring. You have to be careful on how you represent that in your models. There could be a bit of underrepresentation of data that also can become a problem. All AI systems are built with feedback loops that, and you have to not only be cognizant of underrepresentation of your training models, but underrepresentation of the feedback loops that you're ingesting in your models and things like that. So those aspects become important from an overall design perspective when you're using, let's say, your previous data, historical data for generating use cases. If it's just a matter of, let's say, generating use cases for text generation, which is a little bit harmless in certain contexts, but it's important to give large language models the right context on how to generate text. That's where it becomes powerful. So it's kind of dependent on what context you're deploying generative AI for.
That makes sense. And when you talk about the identifying potential bias in the human in the loop process, I mean, obviously we think worst case scenario of someone, being prejudiced towards a specific group or something along those lines. It could be something as simple as an individual not wanting to hire somebody by the name of Bill because that was their ex's name, or whatever it may be, and having that identification process along the way of your particular historical data, I think is important. Now, I want to ask you, obviously generative AI is all out there. Teams are already using it for their human resources practices. What separates Phenom X Plus and makes it advantageous for HR teams leveraging it?
Absolutely. I think the biggest advantage for us is the context that we are able to inject for these generative AI use cases. Think about a simple use case, the way you reject a candidate the first time they apply to the job versus the way you want to reject a candidate or send an email to a candidate when they've previously been rejected but they still attempted to get another job is completely different. The way you open job descriptions, you talked about, let's say, how we use skills as a basis for generating job descriptions. Yeah, you can go to ChatGPT and say, hey, generate a job description for so-and-so role. It gives you a generic context, right? So it may not represent your brand and it may not represent your style. That's one part of it. But the second part is, if it's a connected platform, you can get a little bit more context. Let's say you want to hire somebody in your marketing department. We already know the composition of the team. We already know what skill sets everybody has, and we get a sense of what skills need to be highlighted to account for skill gaps in the team in your job description. That's a powerful story, and that's what generative AI can help us do.
Yeah, no, it's exciting because at first thought, when you think of generative AI, you think of creating content, right? Creating copy for that rejection email, creating outreach campaigns, things like that. What you're saying is Phenom X Plus has the ability to leverage brand specific things, messaging specific to the organization. So it's exciting stuff. Would it be okay if we took a moment and saw a bit of a demo of how this works in action?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
We've built a lot in Phenom X Plus across various pillars of generative AI. It could be generation, it could be summarization, ultimately focused on making the candidate experience very personal, improving recruiter efficiency, and obviously making it easy for managers. So I would love to show all the capabilities we've built.
Awesome. Let's take a look.
All right, let's start our journey with the CRM. This is the home for recruiters, sourcers, and talent marketers, and the entire life cycle of the candidate journey starts in the CRM. So we have generative AI that's X Plus that's deployed in various aspects of this platform, along with a bot. So let's probably start with asking the bot to generate a job description. I'm going to say create a job description. for a marketing manager in Philadelphia with B2B, SaaS, and ABM experience. So now what this is doing is really finding out previous marketing manager positions that's there in this ecosystem, finding out what are the skills that are required, what is the tone of the job descriptions that are traditionally written, and identifies typically the length of the job descriptions, what are the typical other experiences that are asked, and uses that context to generate a new job description. So you can see here very quickly that job description is generated in seconds. There's capabilities to just refine this job description. Maybe you have missed out certain things. Recruiters have had certain insights from hiring managers that they want to input into this job description. They can just refine it to the bot, or if they're just happy with the response, just copy this over and maybe uh, create a new requisition uh, on probably an ATS, for example, or post it to a job board. So this is kind of a quick example of how we've developed generative AI, pretty straightforward use case. Next, let's say the job description is already open, you already have candidates coming into your career site and applying to certain jobs, but now your sourcers are trying to come in and source candidates. Typically, a sourcer would really go in and create a lead into the platform, import that lead from external sources, and figure out how to add them to the job. So what we've done here from a generative AI perspective is made that whole process very seamless. So let's say I'm looking for importing somebody from LinkedIn. I just want to create a link to the LinkedIn profile. The XLS bot generally understands that, hey, you might be trying to create a new lead. It just goes ahead and creates that particular lead, right? So it's already created on your platform, it's already there. But let's say maybe based on that LinkedIn profile, we may already have some past information. Maybe here Shanti could be a past applicant, and we may have a resume that kind of matches the LinkedIn profile. It's saying, hey, I actually found this candidate. Do you want me to automatically enrich this? And just with a click of a button, it just goes ahead and enriches that entire profile. And now I have a full-fledged profile that's living in the system that's completely enriched and all the information that I require for this particular candidate. So now we've been able to easily create candidates in the system. How about search? One of the most common criteria is to really find if we have the right set of people in our CRM already. We have capabilities within the platform called AI Discovery that automatically serves specific candidates for the job. But let's say if you're looking for certain specific criteria, obviously you can go through our filters and find out who your target audience is going to be, but you can still ask the bot to take certain actions. So I'm going to just say find marketing managers in Philadelphia with 3 to 5 years of experience, and it goes ahead, finds the best matches, and within a few seconds it just starts to provide a bunch of candidates that are in my CRM already that I can take a look at, right? So now that, let's say we've found certain candidates, I'm going to go back to this profile here that we recently added. Now it's time to basically start a conversation with the candidate. We've built capabilities to quickly initiate a lot of conversation with candidates, all using the email function within our platform. And generative AI is going to figure out if we can quickly generate the right set of emails to candidates that are completely personalized to these candidates, and also allows you to look at your style or the recruiter style of writing and use that into the context. So I'm just going to say, we met at HR Tech. We have marketing positions open right now. Are you interested? So just saying this within seconds, it basically considers all the context that I was talking about earlier and generates an email. Obviously, it doesn't automatically send this email, but you can see that it really understands my style of writing and adapts to it, and also considers some aspects of the candidate as well. So if a candidate has already been in the process or maybe has been previously engaged, the email really would definitely sound differently. So here's one quick example. We've built capabilities to really change a lot of things about the email as well. So if we want to elaborate certain things, regenerate certain lines, maybe change tone, I'm going to just say I'm going to make it a little bit friendly or summarize a large set of text, things like that. All of that is possible. The platform also allows you to completely translate this into various other languages. So now let's say I've already sent out an email, maybe I've had a quick phone screen with this candidate, and let's say I feel that Shanti here could be a great fit for a job. Um, there are certain times where leads are sourced or candidates are sourced to certain jobs first before inviting them to apply to that job, right? So this is a use case where let's say I just source this candidate. I'm going to directly assign Shanti to one of the jobs that I have open here. And the system is now intercepting an action and prompting me to say, hey, you just assigned Shanti uh, to this particular rec. Do you want to invite this person to apply? Right. So um, think about using generative AI in line with the experience as opposed to making our users find how to use generative AI and then using some of those capabilities. So I can just say, yeah, why don't you just create a quick invite to apply? And now again, it understands all the context. Maybe you've not contacted this candidate before. It takes all of that into account and generates a quick email that I can quickly review and send to the candidate. And there it is. So now you can also see specific information in this email about the rec ID, the link to click in from a URL perspective. So obviously it's not coming in from a template, so it looks a little bit more personalized, a recruiter having written that email to inviting a candidate to apply. All right, so some of the communication is now streamlined. Maybe I had a conversation and maybe is not a great fit. So I just want to change the hiring status to a reject. Now, typically what happens is a lot of candidates get rejected and they sometimes may not know why they're getting rejected or why their application did not fit the job. Now we can use the power of generative AI to really understand that context and quickly summarize a rejection email, right? So it could be based on certain feedback that's there in the system about the candidate, or it could be uh, other contexts. It could be the hiring status itself, things like that. So here's a quick email that gets generated with respect to specific application, things like that. So it's a little bit more elaborate, maybe because this is the style of emails that I've written before. You can really summarize this, make this a little bit shorter, all those capabilities are available. Another interesting aspect of generative AI that we've deployed in the platform is sending out mass campaigns. So now let's say maybe I'm at a stage where I have to create some mass campaigns, target a set of candidates within my CRM platform, and send them something to start attracting more traffic to my marketing jobs. So what I can quickly do is really drag and drop all the widgets like how you usually do from a marketing perspective. But what we found is one of the most interesting ways to generate a lot more conversion is to have a very catchy subject line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask X Plus to generate great subject lines for my marketing emails. So I'm going to say invite candidates to marketing opportunities, and it's a pretty simple request that is going out to X Plus. What X Plus does is it basically takes a look at the prompt, figures out that this is in context of sending out marketing campaigns, and it quickly generates some very catchy subject lines as a part of the template. And there it is. So there's plenty of options that we've deployed on the platform to similarly create certain templates like this and start some of the marketing efforts. We've also introduced generative AI for SMS communications. So typically, there's a lot of communication happening these days through SMS, so that there's a quick turnaround time. So we've had use cases where SMSs can be generated using X Plus. So here's an example. Let's say there's a quick prompt to invite candidates to join to a national hiring day. So I just put in the date as December 13th. So let's see what it generates. And there it is, a quick and easy way to start generating SMS templates and SMS campaigns. The other exciting thing that we've built as a part of the whole ecosystem is using X Plus to help users navigate through the platform. So let's say I'm a marketer, I'm going, probably this is my early days, I'm going to start creating a campaign, and now there's a new option called an always on campaign. What exactly is that, right? So you can go and ask the bot. So you can say, um, what's an always on campaign? And the bot really looks at our entire knowledge base that we've created and integrated as a part of the platform. It quickly answers some of the questions that can help you make a quick decision and move forward with your tasks. It also has links to our knowledge bases. So it's a quick and easy way for recruiters, marketers, sources on the CRM to find help and quickly move on with the task. Now that I've created a campaign, now candidates are coming to the career site and looking at marketing jobs, right? So now the chatbot that's out there has also been enhanced to use some generative AI capabilities. So in addition to some of the basic prompts that we've developed, we've added a bunch of new natural language capabilities to the bot itself to be able to guide your candidates to find the right things they're looking for. In addition to that, candidates can ask a lot of questions. So typically, most organizations really look at some of the most popular questions that are being asked of the bot and provides certain answers in the backend platform that allows the chatbot to answer those specific questions. So we've been able to enhance some of this experience as well. So as and when your career site grows, you're adding a lot of content to your career site, a lot of pages, and typically you don't have time to go and train the bot to be able to answer some of these questions. So what we've done with generative AI is we automatically scan all new pages, all new content that's been continuously growing on your career site, and automatically classifies what parts of the text could be really potentially classified as an FAQ, and creates that question and answer coming in from your own site. We have capabilities to automatically publish it to the bot, or it could just be reviewed by a human. I'll vet it out and really publish it from that point on. So now candidates are coming on to the career site and applying to the jobs, and I can now start to see all my applicants coming in. So there are a couple of other cases of generative AI that we've built. So let's say I really like this candidate and I want to forward this candidate to the hiring manager. I can select the job to which I'm hiring, and now the platform already allows me the ability to quickly summarize the profile to the hiring manager. So it's a pretty simple one click of a button. You can look at the skills on the profile, any signals that we've identified through our AI, some notes that may be relevant, education background, fit level to the job. And it takes a lot of all these data points to quickly summarize that profile to a hiring manager. And there you go. So it creates a nice email, and this profile can be forwarded to the hiring manager. Next, we've built capabilities to now help hiring managers and interview teams ask the right questions. So in the platform, we offer what are called as interview templates that can be generated and published in so many different channels. It could be through a one-way video assessment. It could be send a guide to your interview teams. So I'm hiring and trying to recruit marketing managers. So typically, your hiring teams may have a bunch of questions, but I'm just going to take some of the notes from my intake meeting and let GenAI recommend certain questions that can be asked. So within seconds, I can see that GenAI is returning a bunch of marketing specific B2B skill oriented ABM related questions that can be used. So I have the ability to add and remove certain questions and even rephrase certain questions, all using GenAI, and use the right format to create a question bank that could be a little bit more structured from an interview process perspective. And finally, from a hiring manager perspective, hiring managers finish the interview and provide feedback. And some of the feedback elements can be provided here, and X Plus can be used to generate or elaborate some of the feedback that's driven out of the platform. And one other interesting area where we've deployed generative AI is what we call as interview intelligence. So this is a product that records, transcribes, and summarizes interviews. So you can see a whole interview that's being recorded and the entire transcript over here, and certain key highlights that were marked by interview teams during the entire interview process. So using generative AI, we've been able to quickly summarize the entire interview. This is a case where hiring managers may have forgotten what happened during the interview and want to have a quick summary of what happened, breaking things down into a Q&A format for easy readability, and also figure out potential action items that can result from an interview. GenAI is also able to summarize key topics that were talked about and share some intelligence around how the conversation went, were there any interruptions happening from either side, what was the talk ratio, and things like that. That could be really beneficial for hiring managers to make a data-driven decision on the candidate and provide the right evaluation, and also be used as a mechanism to train hiring teams to conduct better interviews. So these are just quick areas of where we've deployed generative AI throughout our platform, and there's a ton of capabilities that we are introducing in the next couple of releases on our roadmap across all our experiences. So yeah, really excited with the kind of work that's happening at Phenom using generative AI, and looking forward to solving more use cases to benefit our customers. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for the demo. I appreciate it. Looking ahead, how do you think Phenom X Plus will evolve in the coming months, days, years, whatever that may be? And is it going to continually to fundamentally change the way we look at talent acquisition, talent management, and human resources as a whole?
Yeah, absolutely. I think with generative AI, there's a lot of potential in terms of where you can apply it from an overall end-to-end HR process, right? So there's use cases in talent acquisition that we saw today. There's use cases in talent management. Think of learning and development. Think of workforce planning. Even performance management. Nobody likes to write their performance reviews, so you can really look at it from that perspective. Generative AI can really bring in the true data that you, or the digital footprint that you've generated over a course of time, and help you summarize and be better at your job. So those are some aspects, and with the evolving nature of the technology, there's evolving sense of regulation as well. So that's also something that we are closely watching out for. So what does that mean for, let's say, what happened with New York laws that we have, and there's evolving laws that are coming in on generative AI as well. We're keeping a close eye. It's important to kind of be very transparent on how you're using your models, how you're protecting enterprise data and data privacy as a whole.
It's an excellent point, because the laws will continue to change the way we look at things. I love to use the example of an automobile, right? There was a time, my parents tell me about it all the time, no seatbelts, no car seats, you are just driving on the road, very few speed limits, no headrests, anything like that. You think about a car today, it feels like children are in cars until they're fully functional adults, because that's the safe way to drive. New technology will always evolve and have safety and regulations to make it best for humans. And I think that's where we're headed with this. It's going to, continue to drive like a Tesla down the road, if you will. But there's going to be safeties and regulations to make sure that everyone's using it properly. So that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kumar. I appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. Apologies about the little bit of the delayed response here. But nonetheless, we look forward to having you on next week. We're chatting about Skills Day with John Harrington and John Deal, so you won't want to miss that episode. But in the meantime, I hope everyone has a safe, happy, and healthy weekend, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.